studio, two WWE Hall of Famers have blessed our presence today. And we're so happy to have. We have JBL and Ron Simmons. Welcome, welcome. Give it up for everybody. Make sure we can hear everybody. We've met like a few times.
Is it on?
Yeah. All right.
You don't need no mic.
So let's just start this way. You both have had interesting starts to your career. Both of you started in football, and both of you played professionally. Ron, you played for college. You played at Florida State. You were go Noles, right? You're a Heisman Trophy nominee,
Yes.
and you went on and got drafted.
Right.
And you played for 2 years, right, in Cleveland?
Yes. Or 1 year.
1 year.
Cleveland, right, and Cleveland once, and then Canada 2, and played in the Houston there for 3.
So tell us a little bit about your college days and your football days.
Oh, it couldn't have gone better, man. I played under, everybody, the legendary Bobby Bowden. He was absolutely fantastic, and I can't speak of him enough. He was there, at a very pivotal point in my life, as a young man. So he not only was a great coach, but a great mentor. So that part went well for me, and being under his guidance, and I had great coaches there, and just really, I had a great time when I was there. It couldn't have gone better. It was just a really, really good part and a good part of my life.
And John, you're the first person I've ever talked to who actually played for a World Football League.
There were a few. Jason Garrett was our quarterback.
Right.
Ended up coaching with the Cowboys. So
Absolutely.
there were a few. Most of the guys didn't. You hadn't heard from many of them. I don't think any of them made it into wrestling.
As a kid, I remember watching the World Football League because it's like you want football all year, so it's a great chance for that. One day they're going to solve that problem, so we get good football in the off season.
Well, started in April.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your time playing World Football?
It's not really fair. I'm following a 3-time All-American who went to a Florida school in Florida. So Ron talks about being a Heisman Trophy runner-up, 3-time All-American, bringing Bobby Bowden said he's a great football player, coach now. I'm going to talk about playing at Abilene Christian. So school's a school, but it's not in Florida.
There's only in the biggest state in this union. That's right.
That's right.
But the reason why I bring up football, because from football you both got into wrestling, and so it's not always the direct path. And so how did that lead for both of you?
Well, for me, right after I first, let me go back to where I myself became a fan through my grandmother. Right, her favorite was Bob Armstrong. Right? So she would make us sit there and when he came on shot. And she would, he always used to do this guns thing when he was Bob, right? That's what I remember watching him, right? And she would make us sit there, you had to watch him. So through that I became a fan. And so after my football days, finished, right? And Luger became he and I played on the same football team at USFL. So he transitioned into wrestling a year ahead of me. And so at that particular point in time, I was working, I think, at the detention center. And they said that Hiro Matsuda, who wound up being my trainer, they were looking for more black guys to get into. So he contacted me and asked me would I be interested in, becoming a professional runner. I said, oh, you're out of your mind, no way, man. After I've got beat up in football, right? So he said, well, look, how much money are you making here now? I said, look at it, man, nothing. And he started throwing numbers to me, and I said, well, when can I start? It was more than twice as much as I was making there. So that's really how, the platform, how I really got into it.
And for you, John?
Lex Luger told me the story one time. He played against Ron down when he played for Miami. And he told the story about Ron that the center lined up against Ron. Ron was what, a 500-pound bench presser, maybe 600 pounds. Ron did 225 48 times in Cleveland, something in the NFL record. Broke Lala Zato's record, I believe is what it was. And he said that the freshman center that lined up across from Ron bench pressed like 235 once. And he just remember the fear they had going in.
They had that kind of fear that them guys used to see. I used to see in their eyes when they saw that clothesline.
One time we're sitting there before the matches and we're watching these kids do. We watch these kids do all this stuff off the top to practice and all this stuff. And they said, Ron, what would you do if they want to do that with you? He goes, tag John. John ain't coming in. I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question, this is a similar question to you. How did you, from football?
I played the World League. I played for Mike Riley, was our head coach, and coaching with San Diego. Unfortunately, got Ryan Leaf drafted as a quarterback, and then coached Nebraska. And after that season, I played with a guy who wrestled in Japan. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I got cut my second year. I had tons of injuries, got cut, and I called him. I said, "How do you get into wrestling?" Because I'd always been a wrestling fan. Ron grew up, with his grandmother watching. I grew up with my grandfather watching. My grandfather and I used to watch the Von Erichs and Fritz Von Erich when the kids debuted back in Texas. And I'd always wanted to get into wrestling. And so I called him. I said, "How do you get into wrestling?" And he said, "You got to be trained." At the time, Brad Reingens was one of the best trainers up in Minnesota. I moved up there. Brad was the 1980 Greco-Roman world champion. Probably would have been gold medalist. That was the year they boycotted the Olympics. Right. Because it was in Russia. And I moved up there, trained with Brad. Because I got trained with Brad, his name was so powerful, I got picked up in Japan right away, wrestled in Europe, and finally made it to WWE in '95.
Fantastic. All right. Ron, you are the first African-American WCW champion, heavyweight champion.
Black.
Yes, sir, black. Good first black.
And let me just
Absolutely.
No, but I just want people to understand, and let me make this clarify this, right? And the term African American is general. That's great, and it encompasses black people, right? But I want people to understand that I wasn't in Africa when I won that title. I was in the United States of America. That makes me the first black American, right?
Yes, it does. So, can you reflect back on that experience?
Oh man, it's when I watch that, right? Each time I watch it, I get the same chills and feeling because I always like to look back on it and reflect to it, as a real moment in professional wrestling, right? And I tell people this, and sometimes they don't believe. I have no idea this is something with it, at all, right? And that's why I think when you see the reaction around the ring, it's genuine. You know what I mean? Right. And it was just a great moment, and at that time I had no idea the impact that it was, because just being in this business, we all want to be champion, period. So I had no idea about the historical, value of it, and going on, though, the impact that it had on not only black Americans, but just people in general, because, a lot of people come up to me now and say the impact that it had on their lives, at that moment.
Absolutely.
And how it helped them to get through a lot of things. So that's the feeling, that I get every time I think about it. It really means a lot. I really appreciate it.
So how did this partnership between both of you start? How did you guys get paired up?
We were friends long before we were tag team partners. We rode together. We ate dinner together. We traveled together. We were just good friends. Our background's very similar. We were both big football fans, football players, played a little pro football, and then got trained kind of the same way, and had kind of the same similar style. Ron had already been a major star, first black American champion, and I was just coming up, but we were very similar in so many ways. They just kind of saw us together and thought, we're just going to put them together. I don't think there was a lot of thought to it. It's just, these are two guys who are very similar, who are good friends. Let's put them together and see what happens.
So, it's easy at first because you guys are friends, but your wrestling chemistry did it click up immediately?
Yes, and like you said, you know what? And when you're in a tag team, and every person in this business that has been in a tag team, brother, their hopes and prayers is that they can get in a tag team with someone that they absolutely love and can get along with and just close. Because believe me, when you are that close to each other. It comes across the screen, everyone can tell, you know, and it was instant bond, you know what I mean? We both have been in tanks, you know, we both been in tanks, but it was nothing that close and that instant, you know, because I think we both had shared some similar backgrounds, man. It was just a natural bond.
Everything worked.
Yeah.
From day one, it just felt
Yeah,
perfect going up there together.
yeah.
Our styles were so similar, and our mindset was so much the same that it just, everything worked.
Yeah.
For both of you, as a tag team, do you have favorite matches that just stick out of your mind that you know, this was amazing for us?
I think, you know what, just like John is saying, you know what, for me and probably for both of us, right? Because we had similar styles and, you know, and people used to refer to us as being stiff, you know, but that wasn't stiff, it was just, hey, the way we like to walk, you know what I mean? Right, yeah, you know, if you were sitting right here looking at us, you couldn't tell if it wasn't fake. You know, that's the way we work, you know, right. And I really can't call out any one in particular, but although I did enjoy working, you know, with the double bonds we did, right, you know, and I mean, in and out with the X, and you know, but I kind of like just working, period, because we approach each one we got in the same way, you know, so it's nothing that completely stands out.
The Hardy Boys won their first championship from us.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, that's one that would. If that is one, right?
yeah. And you know, it was something that we were glad to do. We liked them, you know, and it was just something. It was a kind of a, you know, you win it from the big tough guys
Yeah, that's right.
in their hometown,
Yeah.
and we did it the right way.
Right.
You know, we did it the way you're supposed to do it.
I was revisiting some clips of your matches, preparing for this, and the match against Public Enemy showed up, and just how crazy and insane. They all know what I'm talking about. So can you reflect on that with us?
I don't think there's much to reflect.
We were on the right side. I would agree with that.
You know what? Let's shed a little light on it, right? I think we were gonna make them like
We were.
We're gonna. Hey,
We had no problem doing business.
No.
Zero. No problem at all.
No, we were gonna. Hey, far as we knew it, man, we did business with everyone. And they're just coming in. You know, this is the first day, right?
That's right.
And they're coming in on Raw. Okay, this is live TV. You understand me? You know, preparation is key. You know, right? They walked into somebody's like me coming to your home and just walking right in, not saying hello or hi, how are you? Can I have something to just go right in your refrigerator, start eating? You know, they just came in like they've been there for 5, 10 years, right? Totally disrespectful for both of us, you know? Right, so there was no time for preparation or to get to know each other, but so we just decided we'd get to know them better in the ring.
They came in at about 5:30 that day.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be there at 1. And it's very disrespectful. Absolutely. You know, I mean, all the guys are there. You know, Stone Cold's there, The Rock's there, Undertaker's there, who all was there? Everybody's there at 1 o'clock. You know, they walked in like they owned the place.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the final straw. The final straw was right before the match. We walked out. Their music was playing. And one of them told me, he said, we don't want to do that spot at the table. And I said, that's the finish. And they said, yeah. And they walked out. So they just told us they're not doing the finish.
Right.
And then walked out. And so I just assumed we're walking into a fist fight. And Ron said, what was that? And I said, they don't want to go to the table. And Ron said, well, we'll take the table with them. And we went down there thinking we're getting into a fist fight. We had no idea what they had, but they said they didn't want to do the finish, but they didn't offer an alternative. They didn't say we don't want to go to the table, we'll do this. We were going to put them over the paper. We had no problem with that. And all of a sudden they pulled that on us.
Yeah. You know, it's, listen, man, you know, it's the ultimate disrespect. You know, in this business, that was the absolute worst that you could get. You know what I mean? Right. You know, and we both, you know, look, don't set out to do anything like that because that's just not us. But there was no choice we had because, look, they could have They could have got hurt.
They absolutely, basically punked us out.
Yeah.
Said, basically we said, we'll see you in the ring.
Yeah.
And then we got there, they didn't really want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't know what they had planned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They told us, don't do the finish, but we get in the ring, we think, oh, gee, this is going to be a fist fight. If that's what it is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
We get in the ring and we annihilate them. They never even fought back.
Yeah, man. Was that the first and last match?
That was their yes. they got fired about a week later once they realized what had happened.
It was immortalized on YouTube though, so that it's always there.
Hey, but I'll tell you, the funny part was at the very end, we walk out of the ring and one of them gets up and is like trying to not sell it. Ron goes, he just got up. and we went back down.
If you don't mind, we'll pass over some questions for everybody. So anybody got some questions, please raise your hand. Right here in the middle.
I want to know, what's your favorite opponents in your entire career? I see some people might say be like Eddie or all these, like, what's probably your favorite opponents you have in your career?
For me as a singles, Eddie Guerrero is probably the Eddie made me as JBL. Eddie really worked hard to get JBL to work. And a terrific worker and a wonderful human being. I did part of his eulogy at his funeral, and he was a groomsman at my wedding. We were very close friends. Good guy. Undertaker I wrestled probably more than anybody wrestled earlier. I wrestled him every single night for almost a year and a half straight. Closed every show, after TVs. There were some wonderful guys to work with, some incredible talent. I didn't really have anybody I disliked. I really enjoyed.
You wouldn't have known that. Well, you were decapitated.
My first match with The Undertaker, I get it, I'm nervous like me, it's live Raw, and you had to kind of wrestle The Undertaker first, and if you did well, they kept you, if they didn't, kind of the watermark. And I get him in the corner, I'm thinking, oh geez, I'm not sure I belong here. And I waffle him in the corner, and Dutch Mantel's my manager, he goes, just be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. So I've got him in the corner, and I'm waffling, and here's the franchise, here's the one guy that's carrying the ball. And he goes, do I owe you training? I'm fired. That's right. Do not hurt this man.
Well, for me, right, and if you're going singles, right, I'm going to have to go with working with Vader, because I really love working his style, and big man can move, absolutely love it, because he can take it as well as give it, particularly I love working with him in the World Championship match. But when you come to tags, I love working with the Steiners, when it came to that, really love it. Had a great time working with them. Rock and Roll Express, Road Warriors, when it came to those type of matches, and John and I, like I said, with the Dudley boys and the Hardy boys, would be up there when it came to tag matches.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
I got a question for JBL. When it came to Edge's Money in the Bank cash on Taker, how did you feel about it as it happened on SmackDown?
From what I remember, I thought it was terrific. I do remember, I don't remember where I was, and if I was doing commentary or not. I do remember it very well, the cash-in. I thought it was fantastic. Edge has been a tremendous star and a tremendous person, and I think he's been a great champion.
Thank you.
Headback.
This is for both of you as far as singles go. Who's somebody you work with in the ring who really surprised you with their athleticism, be it strength or how they could move or a combination of the two?
Wow, man, that is a really good question, because there were so many, that you get in there with, because both of us, we go way back, so that's when more so people really took pride in different styles, working in athleticism, So I can't just really call out one, but I would have to say early back in my career, that was before, Sting, when it was Steve Borden, okay? I'd have to say that stood out to me with his athleticism, because he was a better athlete than I pictured him to be, right. I think I was more, that was kind of one that I was a little bit surprised at, but later on I can see why he went on to become who he is.
To me, a guy that surprised me was Dick Murdoch. Murdoch had the worst body in the history of professional wrestling. And Black Barber said, "You look like an upside down light bulb." But he was an incredible athlete, and that guy could work. It was unbelievable how Dick could work. Him and Dusty were one of the greatest tag teams of all time, but Dick could really work. And if you saw him walk in, you'd think he was driving a truck.
Oh, really?
Oh, did he ever? Oh, tremendous.
Wow. Yeah.
And Randy's dad, Bob, I tagged Randy's dad in Japan. Bob was a tremendous athlete.
Yeah, that's a good one. Dick Wood, he really flew you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
So, first off, what are your thoughts on wrestling, the WWE as it is today, and the commentary on AEW? I've heard from DDP on this topic, but I was just curious.
And what was his?
Well, he's AEW all the way. That's
Yeah, what was his response?
His response to that was, he didn't think the way they got paid, they got taken care of was fair. I knew that was a big issue. A lot of the guys had issues.
Well, let's put it this way. The styles have definitely changed. Okay? Right. And you know what? And for the times, you know, and I've got to say, a lot of kids, they're young, you know, the history of it, you know, because he and I came up in when, you know, it was a totally different era. Okay? The style was totally different. Okay? When there was a distinct difference between a good and a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, having said that, I do think that is missing a little bit in today, you know, when you watch it. You know, that element of that, you know, when a good guy, good versus evil, you know? Right. And, you know, I think that now, you know, as far as society goes, you know, and that's what they're thinking that fans want more of a high-flying, you know, high-wire act type of thing, you know, other than the style that I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I'm not going to be the old guy that comes out and yells at the clouds and says that this generation sucks. You know? It's not a style that Ron and I used, you know, but you know, I wish they had more emotion and they had more movement.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a little bit lost, but these guys are still selling out big arenas.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad about it because I don't want to be the old guy who says something bad about oh, back in our day we were a lot better. Every generation thinks that.
Yeah,
maybe we were.
Yeah, and you just used the right word, emotion, okay? Because, you know, for me, I just remember, you know, coming along, man, when I was coming along and I first was sitting there at the curtains watching, you know, Dusty Rhodes and these guys, you know, in the ring, right? And I remember watching the people in the crowd and looking out there at them and watching them go through all the range of emotions that I think you should go through at a wrestling match. You know, some people were crying when the bad guy, you know, was getting on them right, and you would see people getting out of the chair, you know, really going through everything. And I think, you know, that's kind of like, you know, a little bit now. You know, that's why I say, you know, the difference in good versus evil, you know, what this was founded on, you know, what the world consists of. You know?
Ron used to do something where he'd get a guy in a corner and he'd throw one punch, drop the guy down, and stand back and put his hand on his hip and he'd stare at him. And the presence he had, which, you know, nobody has the presence Ron had, but the crowd would be on edge with that. And he'd just sit there and go, oh my God. And it was one punch. And it was standing back, because the way Ron did it. And I think some of that presence is lost with some of these guys today, because they do so much movement.
Yes. You know, absolutely right. And it's not giving you all, if you're in the audience, you know, time to be involved in it. You know what I mean? Right, yeah. You know?
I'm attitude era, so yeah.
Right, so you understand what I'm saying? Right. Yeah.
I had a question over here.
Well, yes, I wanted to say thank you to JBL. You may not recognize my face, but you gave me great kindness one night, about 16 or 17 years ago. You asked me if you could sit down, and I said yes, and I appreciate you sitting that dinner with me back down in Iraq. It was one of my highlights of my time there.
That's great.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic.
One of the greatest things we ever got to do was go and visit the soldiers over in Iraq. You know, I grew up a fan of Audie Murphy and Private York and Sergeant York and all these guys. My father got the honor of serving in the National Guard and got called up. And a lot of respect that Ron and I have for all these soldiers. We consider you guys heroes.
Big time. You know?
Going over and
It's great, man.
was the food good?
That dining facility was the first place I ever had lobster. So,
Well, that's now explaining why you sat down.
Ramen noodles, I'm out of fast.
That's wonderful, man. But that's the kind of, see, now you see why tag partners.
Ron and I were in southern Iraq one year during the summer. It was about 10 degrees hotter than hell. I don't know how you guys made it through. It was 134 one day. It was so hot. I thought we were going to die.
With the full gear.
Full gear.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's great, man. Good deal.
Other questions?
You know, I've been there one quick story.
Absolutely.
I'd go over there. I always talk to soldiers and say, hey, if I see you back in the States, I'll buy you a beer. So I've gone through so many airports. I've never bought a beer. And they always say, hey, I saw you in Iraq. And I said, well, yeah, I'll buy you a beer. No, sir, I'll buy you one. And that's what I'm waiting for.
one free after this.
Maybe I'll break you.
Question in the back here. Now, you
Oh,
turn your head.
was there anybody in the business that you just enjoyed bouncing ideas off of backstage, or someone in particular who's mind for a match or the business that just stood out to you?
When it came to, as far as, you know, like action advice?
Or
Anything
just
else?
setting up a match or an angle or a story or?
Oh, well, of course, you know, early on in my career, yes. You know, like, God, Dusty, Rhodes, my God, Eddie Graham, Mike Graham, all of those, you know, I come along in that, you know, Kiro Matsuda, you know, my goodness. Yeah, man, it was a bunch of, but mostly, I think the tutelage that I got from Dusty Rhodes stood out the most. Because to me, here's a man, right, that, listen, the absolute range of emotion that he could take people through was unbelievable, okay? It was great just to watch him be able to do that, you know? It was a magical thing, you know, and I really learned a lot from him.
Mine was James Beard, a referee out of Texas. Bronco Lubitsch, who was a very big help to me in Texas when I started. But the most entertaining was Dutch Mantel. That is the most entertaining place. I love it. Oh my goodness. When Dutch and I go down the roads and he'd just make up stories. Make up stories. No, none of it's true. It ain't. It was so entertaining. Dutch had me laughing for weeks on end. What a good guy. I can't believe Dutch didn't end up booking somewhere, you know, WCW or WWE for a long time.
Good dude.
Smart guy.
Any questions for over here? I know we've done this side a lot over here. Yes, sir.
What's some of the oddest match types that you've wrestled in your career? I remember we had the APA Invitational, and then in 2003 that was pretty whack.
We threw the Easter Bunny through a window.
We're all saying, well, this is really gonna make a lot of kids laugh. Oh man, geez. There's been some that I did not want to be in. And I'd be lying if I said, you know, right, yeah, you know, there's been a few of them, man, you know, right. I think the ones that I probably didn't want to, you know, be so much in, right, I wasn't so much as a gimmick match guy. You know, I really never felt too comfortable with those, and particularly when I walked in and I saw Ron Simmons, Cactus Jack. Oh. Well, that is totally not my element, but that is his. Yeah.
I was in a ladder match with Jeff Hardy.
Oh.
He talked about story. Why they put me in a ladder match?
Wow.
Trying to was so stupid. Then I was scared of heights. And I got to take a bump off the ladder at the end, and he hit me over the head with a cookie sheet. Finally goes, dude, you got to take a bump. I'm screw you. 2 stories ladder. Hell no. I'll hit you with a ladder. I'm not climbing the ladder. They never put me in another one after that. God awful. Sure. I'll make sure. Marty was great. I was horrible.
Other questions?
I want to know, how does it feel like doing moving around being in the ring anymore, doing commentary and backstage work? How is that different from?
The commentary was, when I first started doing it, I was still kind of wanting to be in the ring. And I don't know if I got good at it later, but I felt more comfortable doing it later because I was much more removed from it. I coached 1 year in college, and I still wanted to play football. And I don't think I was that good a coach because I saw myself more as a player than I did as a coach. And when I first got into commentary, because I had to retire because of injuries, I just retired one day. It was, your back's too bad to go further. You're going to do commentary. And I still wanted to be in the ring. And so later, as I came back the second time to do commentary, I felt much more comfortable doing it. I don't know if I was any better or not, but I felt more comfortable doing it because now I just was a fan calling the action.
Sorry.
Over here.
When you did the APA skits, did they give you creative freedom, or was it all there?
Right.
How on earth are you gonna give a script to 2 guys that hell drink beer for breakfast? You can't. Oh my God. They never gave us nothing.
We're in LA one time, and then, what's the guy's name? Tommy Blancha. Great writer. Tommy used to do all our stuff. Tommy was, God, I love that guy. And he goes, guys, we got to get this time. I said, why are we about to go live? He goes, no, you're slurring your words. I got back there, we drinking beer all afternoon.
Oh my God. But listen, brother, I know for me, and I'm the absolute best. Okay, you know, and the best thing, and I think for both of us, you know, that we really enjoy doing it because we know that you all enjoy it. You know, and that was something that we look forward to doing, you know, and people come from all walks of life. They want to be a part of it. Yeah, so it was really a lot of fun.
We've got time for a couple more questions. He hasn't asked one yet, so we'll come back.
Why are you guys called the Alkalites?
It was some type of a messenger, some type of, they tried to start us off with some type of almost black magic thing from the book of the Necronomicon, and that's where the symbols came from. We never really understood it. I looked it up, that's why I know what it was. I couldn't figure out anything when I looked it up, it made no sense to us. And finally they made us the APA and everybody forgot about the acolytes, so that was good for us. I did, I would draw the symbols. I draw the symbols on Ron, I draw symbols, you know. Book of Necronomicon.
Yeah. No, look, we could have been saying something that we had no idea.
I thought it was, we look back at it, I thought it was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Okay, Lon, what was your favorite feud that you had in WCW? What was your favorite feud?
Feud.
Yeah, feud.
Oh, feud. Wow, man, that is a really good question, you know. The only feud would have been, man, because it would have been in the tag, you know, with Butch, you know, and I'd have to go with the Stangers. You know, I mean, like I said, we had fantastic matches, you know, right. And I absolutely enjoyed working with them, you know. Yeah, it was a really good period of time that being in the tag then with Butch, although he was making me do all of the work. You know, get in there and take Frankenstein. You know, right, yeah, but it had to be with them, you know.
Talk about some big tough guys. You had Doom, you had the Steiners, you had the Road Warriors, the Skyscrapers. I mean, you had some big tag teams.
Looked apart.
They looked apart.
Yeah.
The question in the back there.
For Ron, who came up with the damn?
Oh, that happened about, was a saying I used to say it all the time in the ring when somebody do something that, and I'd look over at John, damn. Somebody screw up, or I'd get hurt, you know,
We had a match one time, we were in a triple threat match, and Edge and Christian had just come in with the Hardys, and it's like a noon or 1 o'clock show, it's on a Sunday, and me and Ron had been out most of the night. Teddy Long is the referee, and we haven't tagged in, we're like 15 minutes into the match, and Ron and I are sitting there on the apron, and we're talking about somebody in the crowd, we're just sitting there visiting, and Teddy comes over and goes, "Are you guys going to come in the match?" And Ron goes, "It looks like a hell of a match." So Teddy turns on and goes, "I think that means no, guys."
really was, because we had no idea what was going on.
They had no idea what was going on. We're sitting there talking to each other. I didn't even know I was working a match.
And we finally looked around.
They're doing all these flips and trying to make it.
Yeah, but anyway, when I would, do something wrong or got hurt or something, damn, right? And so the writers would ask, I think they might have asked John, what was going on, and he said, well, what I said all the time, when he screwed up or somebody screwed up, right? And so they said, well, we're gonna try this and see what happens. So in Chicago, and they had John Cena and Booker T were doing an exchange, and they told me to just, well, Ron, we want you, after they do the exchange, just walk out there and just say, damn. What? Just walk out there and say, damn. I said, are you kidding me, man? I said, they said, just do it. So right after they finished, I walk out and say, damn. Right? And people paused for a minute to see if anything else was coming, then they just said, yeah. And it was born.
One word. One way to live it on one word.
And after I got beat up all those years, and all I had to do was say damn.
On the side of the car, it was damn long. Yeah. Teddy Long was our driver, and damn long.
Yeah, he wound up saying it back to us a lot throughout.
All the time.
Yeah, he suffered a lot.
Questions? Just make sure we get everyone who hadn't asked a question first. Blue shirt there. Yeah.
And you get to work with Triple H a lot?
I think you did.
Yeah, I did. Not a ton, but yes, I did. I worked with Triple H quite a bit. We got to work with him when they were part of DX. So we got to work quite a bit with him. He was, when I was champion, he was champion on the other brand. So we were opposite, so we never crossed. Yeah, I wish now they had, the champion versus champion. I wish we could have had some of that stuff, but back then they wanted a distinct brand split. So, but I did work with Triple H quite a bit. He was a really,
Very technical.
he's very technical. He's a very smart guy. He doesn't make mistakes.
Earlier you mentioned your guys' reputation for being a little stiff. Did you ever work with any other guys that you thought were a little too stiff?
You know what? I just can't recall ever, thinking that. No, I don't recall ever thinking that because, we knew we was. Okay. That wasn't no question, but we knew, right? And I think we were willing to take it just as much as give it, Yeah.
We just worked that way, and we didn't mind guys doing the same to us.
No.
It's just,
Yeah, as long as it wasn't a thing of deliberately trying to, to go out and just maim somebody or injure somebody, Right, yeah, it didn't bother us. The Marine. That's the
Yes,
Army,
sir.
right?
It's for you, actually. I want to talk about your collegiate. I want you to give me a little bit more of an insight about your rap song that y'all created at Florida State. Remember that?
Man.
You know what I'm talking about?
That would be the only man on the planet that I didn't do the rapping, okay? You talking about Big Bad Ron.
Yeah.
Right? Man, I didn't think nobody knew about that. Yeah, but let me put it like this, man. I wish now that they had instituted, you can pay guys in college, I would be an absolute millionaire. Okay, yeah, but it was a good record, and I think a couple of local bands still got together and made that, right, yeah.
The thing about this, at Florida State, Ron had his own theme song, Big Bad Ron, and he had a Trans Am with his picture painted on the hood.
My girlfriend was on there.
Oh, that's right, your girl, yeah, he's got his girlfriend.
And I'm fighting off demons.
If any human being says they're a big man on campus, that human being is not Ron Simmons, they're lying.
That's good.
Well, I thank you both for coming to Pensacon and spending some time with us. Give it up for them. All weekend they'll be able to send autographs and take pictures. Thank you again for coming. Give it up one more time.